Alright guys, welcome back to another 208 Adventures episode. On this one here, we are going to go over our Maverick Trail build. Maverick Trail RC build. So check this out.
Guys, here we go. We are headed to pick up some parts. So they just called from Magic Valley Powder Coating, said that parts are done. So most of them are done and we're going to head in and pick them up. So here we go. This is the 23rd of December, so Christmas came just a little early. Kind of excited about this. Maybe we'll throw the cage together and set it on there. I'm kind of curious what that looks like. All right, guys. Hey, we just picked up stuff from Magic Valley Coatings. Super stoked. Wish I'd have got the video whenever I walked out in the shop and seen the stuff sitting there, because they had it all wrapped up, packaged real nice, beautiful looking. But anyway, we got loaded up. They helped us load it. They threw some blankets down just to ensure that we weren't tearing anything up. But they did an awesome job packing the stuff up. So I just unwrapped a couple items. Look at these rims. They were pretty scratched up and beat up, and they cleaned them up, and wow, those things turned out incredible. And this front plate, the winch goes to and mounts on the front of this trail. Yeah, this bottom was pretty scuffed. I mean, had some pretty big digger marks. They cleaned all that up. You can still see a couple of them, because I mean it was trashed. I just said, do what you can do, and wow, I am impressed. All the holes look good. I mean, they've been, I don't have to tap them out or nothing. That is awesome. Look at the way these things are packaged. To me, that's pretty impressive. Whoops. They care enough that when they do all this work, I guess they'd like to see it at least go out of the shop in good shape. Yeah, look at them little things. That's awesome. Springs. Kind of got a little something different going on. We're going to do a little bit of a build. I don't know. We decided to go with some 50-inch machines. Trent picked up a Polaris 570. Nice little machine, super clean, low miles. And we'll talk about that, probably get some video of that, so some pictures and stuff. And anyway, I ended up picking up a used 2020 Can-Am Maverick Trail, and I ended up picking it up as a rental. It's got a ton of miles on it, but they replaced anything that was damaged. Kind of a cool little deal, and actually for the price, really good. So decided to kind of do a budget build. Some of it will be budget, and we'll get into the reasons why I'm doing some of the things we're doing. And that's entirely up to you whether or not you want to do them, but I mean, you can check it out. It's gonna be pretty cool. I'm excited about it. I've always liked the RC model in the Can-Ams, you know. I mean, who doesn't? They just look badass. They just look cool. And kind of want to do an RC, like a trail RC, if you can imagine. I know they make the sport RC, and with the colors on this, all of a sudden just kind of inspired me. Let's do a trail RC. So we'll kind of go in. I'll show you what we have. I'll show you where it's at. We'll do some demonstration with the flex on it, and just give you some ideas what it's going to be about. That's all this is, just ideas on a machine. So this is it. You can see it's got some scuffs. It's been laid over on its side. You can tell the roll cage they've painted over it, which is fine. That's good. It's definitely not a new machine, but this is a 2020. You see the tires are bald, but the oil looks good. Listen to it. I mean, we fired it up. It's just smooth. Right now they had Sedona Coyotes on it, 27s on the 12-inch factory wheels, just steel wheels. So this thing is base model. I mean, there's nothing on it. Had the nets on it. I did take the nets off. Let's get in here. We'll fire this thing up. Kind of see mileage right there. 6321. And I did put about 10 miles on this. I went up and give it a run just to see what it was like. Actually impressive. This thing handles really, really well for 50 inches wide. You know, I'm used to my Razor. It's 69 inches wide. You know, it's just where I got it. I love it. I think this is going to be fun. This will be a whole new chapter of some of the stuff we're going to do. I think it'll be a good time. You can kind of see that white with that orange in it. And what I'm doing, I'm setting up with these car blocks, or these ramps, and I want to show you the articulation on this. And I know, you know, there's not much travel, there's not anything else on this, but just kind of give you an idea of where it's at and where it's going to be. So I'm kind of excited about that. I think it's going to be pretty impressive for a 50 inch. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to drive up on these blocks and just give an idea of the articulation is what we're doing. As you can see, rear tire is still on the ground. Pretty good. And this thing, you know, we're what, 6.5 inches? So it's 6.5 inch rock. Just imagine that. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this other one, we're gonna slide under here. Because in the trail, sometimes there's more than one rock. That's about sketchy. Check that out. Dang. So with that back end coming up on there, with that sway bar, it doesn't hardly change at all. I mean, there's a little bit of difference, but wow, that rear sway bar, pretty stiff. And I get it, to hold it flat. I understand why they're doing it. I don't doubt that at all. I mean, I'm not saying it's wrong. It's just, it may not be for everybody. See that front still on the ground, but just barely. Just barely. And that's 6 inches. Well, 7, 6.5, whatever. So what I want to do is I want to see what it takes to get the front to raise that back up off. I mean, you know, we're saying, I'm going to say this 6.5, probably 7 inches, and this front tire would have been off the ground. It would have been up, it'd been on 3 wheels, you know, and that's flat ground. I don't know, it's not very much. Granted, it's a trail machine, I get that. What do we got for ground clearance on this thing as it sets right here anyway? So you're looking at roughly what? $11 inches. So I'm going to try a block. Okay, we're 7.5, 8 inches. Let's go with the cinder block. We got my scrap wood pile here. Just out of curiosity. Let's see if I can't. See if I can't make a mess of this. And granted, got to take into consideration the thickness of this board. So say, you know, we come up here, we're 9 inches. Okay, not bad. We're right up on there. We're at that 9 inch mark. Yeah, that I'm barely moving it. 9, 10 inches. I mean, That thing is right there. And granted, I believe that a lot of that, the reason that is flexing is because those tires are pretty spongy. I did let some air out just so it was a little smoother ride. So imagine if that was stiff, that thing just would have just stood up. So I'm gonna say, if you were to come up on the trail and come across a 9-inch rock, yeah, about 9 inches, that it's gonna lift up and you're gonna be on 3 wheels. Pretty good sized rock, still on the trail. I mean, burn over a cinder block. That's where it's at right now. You can see, like I said, this is base model. This thing doesn't even have power steering. Not even power steering. All right, guys. So we're back out here. We've got this thing kind of finished off. And that's what she ended up being. So I think it turned out pretty sick. Power steering, put the easy steer kit in it. Maverick, just the trail doors, factory windshield. I bought a lot of this stuff used. People were getting rid of some of the stuff, the windshield, the back window. The rest of the stuff was all new. I ended up buying new. I really like this trunk. I know it's a little spendy. I shopped all over online. I finally, I went to the dealer. I thought, well, they're going to be crazy expensive. They were $100 cheaper than about anywhere I could find online. You know, I know the dealer gave me a little percentage discount, just a small one, but most anybody walk in and ask for a little bit of a discount or talk to the dealer will do that. The doors, the same thing, almost $100 cheaper for the doors. I couldn't believe it. I was really surprised. But anyway, this is the way it turned out. I'm pretty excited about it. So now we're going to go ahead and run this thing up on the stance and see what the articulation is. So I guess I need to discuss this. I pulled the front sway bar out of this. Front sway bar has been removed. I've driven it this way and I love the way this thing's feeling. Now I've also taken the back sway bar, removed the big back sway bar and put the small one back here, and I'll talk about that here in a minute and how we're able to achieve that. So I've driven up on this ramp and I hardly even felt it as it drove up on there. I mean, it just drove up on it. The thing hardly leans at all. Look at that, just a little bit. And these tires are 28s. I had 27s on there before. These are a 28 on the factory rim. And you can look at this back. It actually has a little bit of flex, not much. I've got the tires pressure on these is low too. That's why I wanted to go with a bigger tire so I could let the pressure out and have a smoother ride. Go ahead and put this other ramp under there. There's my cinder block, and we'll do that one here in a minute too. See what it's going to take to get the wheels off the ground. I'm sure this will. Okay, front suspension, you can see that is compressed all the way up in there. So we have some articulation. Look at this. Holy cow, I cannot believe that. Look at that. I would not have guessed that. That tire is still just right there at touching. Before, this thing was up in the air big time. Now I did tighten these rear shocks. They are tightened up a little bit. You see I've got a little bit of difference here. The sway bar is, I mean, it's still holding it, but that thing articulated up. I can't believe that's awesome. This tire's on the ground. Wow, I didn't expect that. I thought it would have at least picked that up a bit. That's cool. All right, I had to change this up, change the approach. Kept sliding. So we are at
12.5, almost 13 inches right here. And this front tire is just right there on the ground. So all 4 tires are touching at a foot before we get 9 inches out of it with the sway bars connected. That's pretty crazy. I don't know. That's I'm liking that. And like I said, I drove it with the sway bars on her. You know, it's definitely a flatter drive. You're hauling butt down the roads. It's way flatter. Feels like you're cornering on rails. You can definitely be screaming down the road, but I don't do that. I won't be in this anyway. I bought this, or we got these for doing trails, and that's where it's at. I would just want to be comfortable. I want it to be smooth. I got the other rig. I got my Polaris for doing the others. So anyway, that's my deal. I did put a backup camera in here. The holder, device holder. Did put in these plugs, USB plugs. Gives your voltage. Got 2 plugs in there. So anyway, pretty handy. Got that in my other machine, love it. So that's where she's at. Can-Am should have made an RC in the trail. I like it. I think this is going to be very comfortable compared to where it was. I know what little I drove it. Took it up and probably put another 5-6 miles up south here. Just run up and played in the rocks, played around with it, and amazing how much smoother it felt. It still felt stable. So on this rear sway bar, this is the front one, and I mean, the width, the length, everything else is the same on these, other than the diameter on these sway bars. And these little collars, are moved in. So I took a punch and drove the collars in on both sides, matched the original rear sway bar, and then these mounts are from the front. I kept the backing plate from the rear on there, but the front one, I had to take a die grinder and grind out the bolt holes just a little bit to the inside, which is weird because it's a lot smaller. You'd think it'd be the other way, but anyway, ground those just a little bit, about 1/8 of an inch on each side, each bolt, just so it'd fit in the factory holes. Used everything from the front on there, and it worked great. Difference is bolt length here. Had an issue with that because the other bolts were way longer, would have stuck in there, so I had to get some different bolts to some shorter bolts in there, but no biggie. That works good. I'm excited for that. I know not everybody's going to agree on that, but that's okay. It's what makes it comfortable and what you want. I think this is what we want.